Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp.com, and I've been with them for a long time. BetterHelp is an online platform where we found that you can effectively communicate with your therapist. Now, you begin by filling out a questionnaire, and then you'll be matched with a therapist within a couple of days. And if that match isn't ideal for you, you can certainly make an adjustment there. Now, you're going to be encouraged to journal, and also they have the availability for group therapy on a wide array of topics, and I really like that. So as the need exists, go ahead and take the necessary steps to get the help that you need. And just know that BetterHelp has a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, so it indeed is a platform you can trust. There's a link below the video that will take you there. I want you to think about the many times that you've tried to sit down with that narcissist and explain that there are some problems there that individual needs to come to terms with. It doesn't go very well. In fact, what they'll do is they'll try to paint themselves out to be a wonderful person that is not very accurate, is not a very accurate portrayal, and then they'll try to paint you out as being somebody that just doesn't have a good view of who they are at all, and they'll point to all sorts of things within themselves that they think is magnanimous. For example, they can say, I want you to just look at how friendly I am. I have lots of friends and people like me. I've helped many people along the way, and I've been generous, whether it's my time or with my money. I like to do good things on a regular basis. I'm popular. And they'll point to that as evidence that says, see, you don't even know what you're talking about. Now, the key words are look at who I am. They want to give the appearance of being somebody who's really wonderful and terrific, when in fact it's just that. It's simply an appearance. Now, I know it can sound cynical when we say this, and yet when we're talking about the subject of narcissism, this is the way it works. These individuals require a facade. You hear me talk many times over about their false self. They want to portray themselves as somebody that they're not. And so many times narcissists will publicly at least give the facade of friendliness, when in fact it's little more than a cover for their deep and pervasive selfishness. Now, I want to give you a couple of illustrations of how this can work. Let's suppose you have a woman who's involved in a civic organization that's known for its philanthropy. Okay, that's great. I'm glad you're involved in that. And this woman participates in various initiatives along those lines. And people can say, wow, this is really good. This person's giving back to the community. But then you go behind the scenes and people inside that woman's family would say very different kinds of things. They would say things like when we're here, she doesn't seem to care about who we are and what we think and feel. She just kind of does her own thing and scolds us when we don't join her in whatever her initiatives might be. She can be harsh. She can be mean. She can hold grudges. She wastes money and then scolds the rest of us in the family for wasting money. She's loud. She's a bully at home. So what you see is out there, she can look very friendly and pleasant, but behind the scene, there's this huge selfishness that dominates her life. Or let's have a different kind of situation. You have a man who's involved in accounting and finance, and he's known as being very good with money management for many individuals. But behind the scenes, this individual has been caught up with schemes that are investment schemes that are very questionable at best. Very secretive. This individual is somebody that doesn't take input from anyone else, and it can confound other people who will say, hey, we need to take a look at different kinds of thoughts. And as a result, wound up getting caught up in financial scandals. And it turned out to be a not at all likable kind of person, even though up front it can be the slap you on the back, good old guy kind of buddy. I mean, those are simple illustrations, and I know that as I'm saying this, you can think, oh, I can give you some more illustrations to work with. Narcissists want to appear as though they're very approachable and trustworthy, friendly, when in fact, no, there's just a whole lot going on behind the scenes. And so this kind of begs the question, and I think you already know the answer as I ask the question, When you see the narcissist and their friendliness, how reliable is it? Are you going to be able to trust that? Knowing that narcissism is defined by selfishness. And it's sad to say, but time reveals that the friendliness is little more than fool's gold. The selfishness is who they really are down at the core. Now, I want to give you some signs that you can watch for that tells you that you're with somebody whose friendliness is just merely a cover for their own selfishness. And I've got several signs here. See if any of these fit into your set of circumstances. First, this friendly, selfish narcissist has a knack for knowing how to say the right things in public. They can read the room and they can figure out what other individuals want to hear, and they can go into that space. They're not at all bashful about letting other individuals know about their altruism. They may say something like, well, when I helped those children at Christmas time and I packed up a lot of gifts, boy, that was really super rewarding. But they kind of say it in kind of a bragging kind of way. Let's take it to another one. They're known for humble bragging. It's kind of like, well, that time that I won that award at work, gosh, that was a good day. And I was so honored that people would do it. And it's kind of like, I hope you're going to praise me now. And there's a hook that's even on the backside of their humble bragging. They can smile when they give critical words. It's like, you're really not doing you're not doing that very well. I wish you'd do something different. Good old friend. But their smiling is kind of a cover for their negativity. Their conversations tend to be surface level. They don't want to go into the space where they have to be insightful or zero in on some issues that are not inclined towards easy answers. These individuals have a strong need to be praised. It's like when you say something to them, it's like, oh, this is food for my soul. I've got to have that. And they live for the admiration of other individuals. Now, in a different kind of way, these individuals tend to run away from tragedy. If you've had difficulty or strain, or if there's a real major problem that's convoluted that involves grief or hurt, it's like, I'll do some of the nice things up front, but I don't want to go into that space and really talk with you on any kind of in-depth level there. They tend not to show remorse. If they are caught in problems or in devious kinds of things, somehow it's somebody else's fault, and they just can't say, I blew it, or I made a mistake, or boy, do I have some adjusting I need to do. I'm very sorry. They won't do that. Instead, they're users. They're manipulators. They're exploiters. Now that I've helped you, here's what you can do for me. Over time, you'll find, and this is those two illustrations I give, the behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, they have a lot of anger. And it erupts when you don't give them what they want. And it can be very ugly. In addition to that, we find that these people prove to be fair-weathered friends only. It's like, I'll hang out with you as long as you're giving me my validation, and I can be friendly and cheery until the validation tap runs dry. And then also behind the scenes, they have a lot of criticism. Those very people that they might be friendly towards, behind the scenes, they're griping about them and saying all sorts of ugly things. They have a real strong attitude of judgment. Now we have a word for this. The word is fake. These people are disingenuine, and unfortunately, when they show themselves to be really friendly, time illustrates that it's just a ruse. Now, knowing that they go into this space, and almost every narcissist, I'm not going to say every because you're not supposed to say 100% every, but an extremely high percentage of narcissists want to do what I'm talking about. They want to give the appearance of friendliness as a cover for their selfishness. It tells us that there are multiple ingredients on the inside of themselves that set them up to be this way. Now, first and foremost, they have learned that life is one long list of supposed tos and have tos and must. They think of life in terms of an agenda. You're supposed to look this way and think this way and be this way. Behind the scenes, they may not agree with it, but superficially, on the surface, they can at least give the impression that says, "Oh, I'm into the do-good kind of thing," they don't want to talk about all the confusion that they have on the inside. Speaking of that, we will say that these individuals have a great deal of difficulty, a deep history of having authenticity. Now, is it because they had a history of strictness where they thought the real self isn't going to be accepted around here? Or were they abused? Or were they praised as a golden child? I mean, the possibilities are very broad. But these individuals they're not authentic because they don't see love and goodness as being something that's just natural. It has to be earned. There's a real high probability that they have been exposed to modeling along the same lines. They've seen other people that perhaps they admire be really good about making good public impressions, like, okay, it works for them. And it could be a parent, it could be a friend, it could be people at work. That's how you get ahead, that I'm going to do the same thing. And as a result, they tend to be trapped in superficiality. Often you find these people being drawn towards materialism or public posturing with respect to their accomplishments. They give the appearance sometimes of being compassionate when in fact they couldn't care less about other individuals. Having empathy is not something that's been developed on the inside. And then in addition, one of the things that this tells us about this person is they have a hidden arrogance. They want to give the impression that, hey, I'm on your team, when in fact behind the scenes it's like, no, what a loser you are. That's how they think. So when you realize that that's what you're dealing with, just remind yourself that friendliness is little more than a cover for their many elements of pathology. These people are self-deluded. They think that if they can just give the appearance of being a nice person, that means they are that, when in fact, no. Again, I go back to that word fake or disingenuine. So I'm hoping that as you recognize this, you can draw the final conclusion that says, I prefer friendliness, but I also prefer to blend it with true acceptance and honesty. And I'm going to have that honesty and acceptance toward myself and toward others. And if somebody proves to be contradictory to that, that's a red flag that says that's not someone that needs to be on my inner circle. And I hope that videos like this can give you some awareness of things that you're dealing with. I'm hoping that through these videos, the teaching can help you come to terms with what you might be up against. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. We're going to continue with more videos as we go along, of course. In addition, you know that I'm a therapist, and I'm retired, of course, and I believe in it strongly. If you have a need to have a therapist help you sift this out, you may have someone in your area, or you may prefer an online resource. We found that to be very effective. There's the people at BetterHelp.com that's my sponsor. There's a link below in this video that will take you directly to their website. There's a whole team of licensed professional therapists you could choose from. As the situation proves to be necessary, get the help that you would need. Seek therapy, and like I say, we have the sponsor that will help you in that regard. Now, in addition, I would invite you to go to my website. It's a very large and extensive website. It's kind of the culmination of my many years of work in this field. I'm a writer, and I've done many seminars, and the website reflects that. I have courses that are on there, and these are very extensive. Each course has at least 25 teaching videos with handouts and guiding questions. Anger games, this is me, about boundaries, free to be, finding yourself despite the controllers, ready, set, connect, how to have healthy connections. We also have my 90-minute PowerPoint presentations, and then we have hundreds of articles, and my books are on there. So we have a lot of resources that'll help you in this regard. Okay, narcissists are posers. They want to give you the impression of friendliness when in fact behind the scenes you find out there's a whole lot more behind door number 2 than they want to let you know. Be aware of that, and then be aware of your own commitment to steadiness and decency and authenticity, which will separate you from them. And in doing so, I hope that you can be the person of peace that perhaps they're never going to be able to join you at. But I truly hope that you can find true peace.